One example of this is tragically of the price fixing of one of our staple foods, namely the bread. I refer to this as a tragedy as it touches the lives of the poorest among us in ways that we have potentially have a devastating impact on their quality of life. I've no doubt that the example that will be top of the mind of most of you in the room also are the recent allegation against our local airlines who stand accused of colluding to inflate their prices during the FIFA World Cup. As we know, these incidences are by no means isolated. There have been numerous other cases, either involving pay exploitations, bad working conditions, or simple maltreatment of workers. Having said this, though, from a South African business point of view, there are companies that have made significant strides against the country's backdrop of our human rights-based constitution, and also in line with international trends. However, the response has been diverse within business. Some forward-looking companies have understood the link between respecting and protecting human rights and their sustainability. Hence, they have begun to entrench human rights in their core strategies. Unfortunately, there are others who still view human rights from a compliance or a tick box perspective. The challenge here being that such companies are yet to understand and address their human rights issues not only from a moral and ethical point of view, but within a risk management framework. So what are the issues? We at the UN Global Compact Local Network, I've got one of their leaders in the audience here, Ochiang, you can talk to her after. She can confirm whether what I'm telling you is true or not. We had to understand for ourselves what the level of our awareness and compliance within the South African business was. This was given impetus by the increasing economic activity by South African companies in the rest of the continent. The study of 50 listed companies was commissioned by the National Business Association and led by Mr. Ralph Hallman, and they did this on our behalf. The results of this important research pointed to 3 key human rights risks: land management, private sector arrangements, and supply chain management. What was somewhat surprising, given these companies deemed themselves to be leaders in this human rights strategic report, was that the findings pointed to variable qualities of the application and implementation of these strategies. So in response to this research, the UN Global Compact is developing guidelines for supply chain management, and we've also had to have a workshop on land management where signatories such as Mondi and Anglo Platinum gave insightful presentations on these issues and their complexities. And the corporate members that participated on this took the opportunity to share information and lessons learned and approaches in this field. Over and above these efforts by the UN, human rights issues are becoming an increasingly prominent focus for intergovernmental and multi-stakeholder initiatives. Some of the most prominent of these pertain to human rights in weak governance areas and conflict zones. In addition, human rights are also subject of a number of business initiatives, such as the Business Leaders Initiative on Human Rights and its guide on integrating the concept into business management. Of concern, though, and something that many of these initiatives have in common, is that human rights are not given sufficient systematic attention in corporate boardrooms. Maybe, Iqbal, you can think about your own organization, and within the management structures. Some of the reports coming out of these initiatives have noted that only a few companies assess their impact on human rights as opposed, for example, of more established issues like the environment and so on. There has thus been arguably a lag in the degree of which these social issues, broadly speaking, have been responded to by companies. However, increasing the prominence of human rights at the international corporate citizenship debate means that we would have to enhance our awareness and understanding, campaigns of human rights issues amongst corporate decision makers. So how is the UN Global Compact and their members, how are they addressing these issues? One of the underlying messages in the seminal work of economists such as Adam Smith, The Wealth of Nations, and Schumpeter on capitalism is that commerce, trade, and economic development can foster peace. I had to add that because this was an academic. It is thus not an overstatement to say that the UN Global Compact, by supporting business to implement the 10 principles, directly makes a positive contribution to peace and development. Moreover, through a collaborative multi-sector alliance, the UN Global Compact is a catalyst for practical actions to advance understanding, investment, and systematic change towards sustainable development. I'll now just take this opportunity to share with you some of the latest developments. The launch of the Women's Empowerment Principles in March this year, which we co-developed with UNIFEM, offers concrete suggestions on how business can empower women in the workplace and in their communities. The Women's Empowerment Principles will be showcased during our upcoming leaders meeting in June in New York, along with statements from chief executives, which we were busy obtaining, in support of elimination of gender-based discrimination in the workplace. In addition, good practice notes on human rights, due diligence, and reporting have been developed, which will serve as guidelines for companies. We believe this is essential as victims of human rights abuses, all of us know, are often voiceless and even unaware of their rights, and this is applicable all over the world.